So sometimes as a sports journalist or sports anchor, I ask people I interview to make predictions. And sometimes they get it right, sometimes they get it wrong. But also sometimes they have some spicy predictions that they might want to say with their chest. CBS Sports Radio columnist Jack Stern, he's got some bold predictions that he recently shared about Super Bowl 58. Now we're going to discuss those predictions and the rationale behind it with Mr. Stern, who you see to my right on the screen and joins me now. Jack, how you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, Dexter, except for the fact that I didn't get to go to Las Vegas for the Super Bowl this year. I have some serious FOMO, otherwise known as fear on missing out on fun, because I wasn't there playing the slot machines, going to the concerts, attending Elvis-themed weddings. Who knew that even existed? But aside from that, I'm doing fantastic.
The one thing I wouldn't have missed out there is probably the Elvis-themed weddings. But yes, they do exist, and people do that, and yeah, I probably would have missed out on that. But yes, we both, you and I, did not get to go to Vegas for the Super Bowl. But kudos to everybody who did and enjoyed it out there. But Jack, speaking of the Super Bowl, speaking of Vegas, where the Super Bowl we played for the first time, you had 5 bold predictions that you put together in a piece, and you ranked them from 5 to 1. We're going to go in that order. And at number 5, I saw this, and I said, Jack could not help himself. He couldn't help himself here. He had to tease the Swifties. And you predicted that after Super Bowl 58, Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift, get this, folks, will not get engaged. Please explain to the people why you believe this and why you chose violence to disappoint the Swifties out there.
Well, first of all, I'd like to point out that this was prediction number 5, right? It doesn't have a lot to do with the actual game, but people are still focused on Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce, the relationship, if it's going to have a Cinderella story ending. And in my mind, there's really a very small chance that it does, right? Because Taylor Swift's flying to Las Vegas from Japan to attend the Super Bowl. She's in the middle of tour season for herself. Travis Kelce is in the midst of a really long season where he's battled through some injuries at age 33 years old. And I just believe that the two are going to wait for a more intimate moment where they can enjoy each other's company to tie the knot. I also don't get the sense that Travis feels pressure to get down on one knee and pull a ring out at the Super Bowl. He seems like the type of guy who's going to wait and hold it off until he really feels ready. The same can be said for Taylor Swift, although I do believe they will enjoy a viral embrace that may be seen by millions of people when Kansas City does win the big game.
Okay, you got Casey winning the big game, which you led there. But I got to ask you this, because you did bring this up before. You said you would have this interest if you were out in Vegas seeing an Elvis-themed wedding. Do you think Travis Kelce and Mrs. Swift would have an Elvis-themed wedding?
Well, if they did have an Elvis-themed wedding, Dexter, I think that they would need to have a lot of security detail around them, because it would be the most attended Elvis-themed wedding of all time. I don't see them as Elvis-themed wedding types of people. Those are the spontaneous people who want to have a good time, or in Vegas trying to enjoy it, are very spontaneous, probably don't want a big ceremony with hundreds of family members. So no, I don't see them as Elvis-themed wedding type of people. But it's now a bucket list item for me, because people are literally getting married in public and inviting random strangers into the chapel to watch them. How cool is that? I don't think it's something I would do. I don't know if you would do it.
Absolutely
not. But it's such a weird, cool, funky idea that I've gotten strangely intrigued by it.
Wouldn't do it. Don't care to see anybody else do it either. Next up, you did say that Christian McCaffrey will be snubbed of Super Bowl MVP as one of your bold takes. Why would the great Run CMC get snubbed for the MVP award?
Well, Christian McCaffrey is one of the best dual threat backs we've seen of the last decade, if not the best dual threat back in NFL history. Now, I'm not ready to say that just yet. You know, he still has a long way to go in his career, but he's someone who's really going to make an impact on this game. He is a mismatch nightmare for the Chiefs defense. He's going to come out of the backfield, line up as a wide receiver, play out of the slot. Kyle Shanahan's done a fantastic job of using him as a Swiss Army knife, and that's going to be something that's on full display in the Super Bowl. I'm predicting that he goes for 150 plus scrimmage yards total, finds the end zone, has a really big game, but in the end, we ultimately forget about it because the 49ers end up losing. It was really sad last year to see Jalen Hurts have a game where he had 375 yards of total offense, 4 touchdowns, and still didn't win the Super Bowl MVP award because the Eagles lost. It's going to be a very similar scenario this year with the Chiefs and 49ers.
All right, got Run CMC getting snubbed here. Now, your third bold prediction was that Kyle Shanahan's ceiling will be in question. So we know you don't think that the Niners are winning this game. Why do you believe people will question if the Niners head coach can't win the big game?
Well, obviously, it's important to be careful what you wish for as an NFL fan, right? Because the 49ers were pretty much irrelevant until Kyle Shanahan came in. He's brought them back to the expectation and the standards that they were experiencing back when Jim Harbaugh was the head coach. But the problem, like Harbaugh, is he hasn't been able to win a Super Bowl. And fans have gotten very greedy in watching them go to the postseason every year, winning a couple of games, playing in NFC championship games on a yearly basis pretty much at this point. But, you know, you have to win the Lombardi Trophy. You have to prove that you can do it to be considered an elite head coach. And ironically enough, he's facing off against a guy in Andy Reid, who was also viewed as limited until he won a Super Bowl with Patrick Mahomes. Now, if he wins his third Super Bowl, all of a sudden we're probably putting him in the same conversation as Bill Belichick as one of the best head coaches of all time. So it's a very similar type of a situation with Shanahan. Unfortunately, he's going to get the short end of the stick, at least in the eyes of the people, until he wins a Super Bowl.
All right, we'll see if he can overcome your prediction here and win his first Super Bowl, or if people will still be out here doubting him. Now, your number 2 spicy, bold prediction, you were out here believing in Brock Purdy, and you say that the San Francisco quarterback won't be the reason that the Niners lose this game. So since you believe Mr. Irrelevant will do his thing, who or what will be the reason that San Fran doesn't win the big game?
The biggest thing in this game is going to be, can San Francisco tackle in space? If the answer is yes, they have a very good chance to win. If the answer is no, they're going to end up getting blown out. One key kind of under the radar type player for me, at least in my mind, is Isaiah Oliver. Really good shifty defensive back in Kyle Shanahan's defense there in San Francisco. He's played a little bit of safety. He's primarily a nickel corner, but if he's someone who can take down Rashee Rice, Isaiah Pacheco, Mahomes, if he ends up running a little bit more, it's going to be a really close ball game. I'm looking for Dre Greenlaw, Chase Young, Fred Warner, the leaders of this defense, to play with a little bit more juice and energy. We didn't see it a whole lot against the Lions in the NFC Championship game. General Manager John Lynch did go on the record saying that he had addressed the issues internally in terms of their effort, but it's going to come down to the big boys taking down the ball carrier, forcing some tackles for losses, getting some sacks, forcing some negative plays, which is going to be very important in terms of keeping the Chiefs' offense in a very unmanageable down and distance type of a situation. And that's going to be what it ultimately comes down to. I don't think that the 49ers defense is up to the task, and it's going to be very, very difficult for them to consistently get off the field on third downs.
Now, if they don't do that against Patrick Mahomes, you are right. They will absolutely be the reason that they lose this game. And your number 1 spiciest, boldest pick for Super Bowl 58 is that the Chiefs will become the first back-to-back champions since 2003-2004. I gotta ask, is this really a bold prediction? I kind of feel like it's bold if you don't think two-time Super Bowl champ Patrick Mahomes will go back-to-back here. Why do you believe Kansas City is going to make it 2 in a row?
Well, they're the superior team. I mean, it was a little bit of a weird situation because we felt like all along whoever won the AFC was probably going to win the Super Bowl. That's not necessarily always the case. The AFC Championship game felt like it was probably more competitive than the product that we're going to see tomorrow. But the Chiefs just have more weapons on offense. They have a better defense. Steve Spagnuolo's done an excellent job of getting the most out of a group that was very lackluster on paper. And then it's going to come down to the quarterback position. I've been a Brock Purdy defender all year. I think he gets way too much unfair criticism. He's done a really good job there in San Francisco. But at the end of the day, he's not Patrick Mahomes. As long as he's facing off against a guy of that caliber, it's going to be very difficult to win a game. Mahomes is fantastic. We all know what he's done. And he's obviously the GOAT. We've talked about it. We probably sound like a broken record at this point. But the guy's the GOAT. He finds ways to play his best football in the second half. Fantastic in the fourth quarter. Very good spontaneously making plays on the move. His offensive line is going to do a fantastic job of protecting him. And I'm thinking that the Chiefs not only win, but they easily put up 30, 35 points, something like that, against the 49ers in a game that they win by a pretty comfortable margin.
Okay, Jack Stern saying it with his chest. The Chiefs winning by a comfortable margin. I like it. I like the spicy, bold predictions. I have a spicy, bold prediction for you, though, Jack. Because after we've done this conversation, we had these talks, we went through all your predictions. I think that if you choose to get married, you are going to have yourself an Elvis-style wedding. That's what I think is going to happen. That's my prediction.
You think I'm gonna change my mind between now and then?
I think what's gonna I think what's gonna happen is you're gonna go out, see one of these, and it's going to inspire you to want to experience the same thing that you saw other people getting so much joy from. That's what I think.
Well, I'll go on the record saying that I'm not anywhere close to getting married today, tomorrow, next month, or probably not even next year, if we're being honest. But yeah, like it looks like if I went out and met a couple that was really cool and they talked me into it, I'm very easily swayed in this type of situation. Like I'm always someone who likes to go with the flow and do what everyone else is doing, especially when it looks cool and it looks fun. So if I can find a significant other who is down for an Elvis-themed wedding and is also willing to come out to Vegas with me to witness one before we do it ourselves, I might be able to change my tune on that one.
Jack, I see you, man. I see you out here making that pitch to the potential future significant other. I see what you're doing there. I like the prediction. That is Jack Stern of CBS Sports Radio. Check out his 5 spicy, bold predictions that he made for Super Bowl 58. Jack, good time having this conversation with you. Enjoy the big game. We will talk soon.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Dexter. Enjoy the Super Bowl, and let's see what happens.
We will see.